I'm Julian Todd, and I founded and work for ScraperWiki.com, and it's an online Wikipedia-like system for people to write and collaborate on writing web scrapers. The people who hold data at the moment and gather data lack a lot of imagination and are not able to exploit the data that they've gathered. And by having open data, it can be exercised much more widely in the same way as having open streets and open highways where anyone can travel down them. Open data allows the public to exploit the value of the data that would not otherwise be revealed. A lot of big web scraping projects have managed to move themselves onto ScraperWiki. I mean, my favorite ones have been ones to do with environmental data, or where you discover a data set of all the oil wells ever drilled in the North Sea, and you can web scrape them and then begin to map them. And then, of course, that's only the UK oil wells. We need someone else to do the ones for the Norwegian oil wells, and then we can find out exactly what's happening in the whole ocean. It's the sort of web scraping where each person can do a little piece and it all goes together. So if you were to do all the planning applications in one city and then someone does the planning applications in the next city, we can start to see the whole coverage of the country. But that's the big goal on this. Public WIP was my very first open data project, which began in 2003. Well before time, before anyone else's time, and it was to web scrape the Hansard Parliament in the UK and put all the votes of your MPs online for the first time ever in one single database. And it's been ticking along for about I guess that's about 7 years, and it can be used to find out what MPs' opinions are a long way in the past and map their changes in opinions and hold them accountable for changes in the law that they've made that then turn out not to be quite so good when they actually pass. And what's never really happened is this project should be extended internationally, because there are hundreds of parliaments through the world where votes are collected and put online, even in Germany, and it's not put into a common database. And there should be a common standard where we all share it and learn how to exploit it. But these projects don't tend to get funded or don't appear as sexy as ones that chase lobbying or corruption or something. UN Democracy was another project that never got off the ground too much. It was the equivalent of They Work For You, the UK Hansard thing, but applied to the United Nations General Assembly and the Security Council, and I have parsed all the votes and speeches done in those two bodies over 14 years. So you could track down various Security Council motions all the way back, and you could see the renewal of each of the mandates, as well as many unreported votes in the General Assembly, where if you discover just how much the news media leaves out when you get a complete timeline of one of these bodies. And you'll have a vote every year that we should ban nuclear weapons in orbit in space, and there'll be only 3 countries that will vote against it. And this should be in the news. And how could anyone be against this? And well, the thing is, the countries can be against it, and no one reports it, so who knows? So no one asks them about it. This project has failed to find funding. I've put in applications most places, but if it ever did get funding, then I could certainly continue it. That's a very long time scale. I would want have to be modest, but over the years I've developed some very hardcore skills at web scraping of PDFs and various difficult websites that are generally put together not to expose the data. So particularly Microsoft ASPX websites are extremely difficult to extract the data from. And what I would want to see is the skills that I've developed over 7 years of doing this to be much more widespread. and available everywhere. And so, in the same way as I'd say, like playing the piano. A lot of people can play the piano. It's a very difficult skill to learn, but it's available everywhere. And if that type of availability for gathering and transferring the data was just much more wide in the community, then all the changes, all the promises that data supposedly has would happen. The advice. I had an interesting situation where I think it was 2 days ago. Someone showed me some web scrape. It got me into doing some web scraping for him for some companies' data in Germany. But there seemed to be a problem as I was managing to crack through the layers in this website. He suddenly was very concerned about the copyright and that the company's house in Germany would come after him. And so we had to eventually have a compromise where he could delete his copy and I then made a copy of my own in my own name because he was so worried. And I said, well, what's the problem? If they have a problem with it, they can come after us. So, and this has always been the case with any valuable data, is that you just take a copy out. Don't worry about permission, generally. And if they want it back, they can come and ask you and give a reason why they should not be publishing it in a fit format. This is what worked with Parliament and stuff. So it's one of those things that asks forgiveness, not for permission. That's one of the main pieces of advice.